At first glance, Sunny Sprout looks exactly like the kind of cheerful, unbothered character you expect to find in a lightweight children's fable. But in episode 10, that innocent facade drops. While walking down a peaceful path, Sunny hears a tiny voice and uncovers a trembling seed hidden beneath the moss, completely terrified to grow. The little seed is caught in a psychological loop, whispering a series of desperate questions. What if I fail? What if I'm not strong enough? What if I never become important? This specific sequence of questions mirrors a common psychological trap, the paralyzing pressure of infinite potential. When every outcome must be important, the weight of that expectation makes the very first step feel impossible. Pulling someone out of that kind of deep existential paralysis requires careful intervention. And surprisingly, this children's story immediately delivers a masterclass in empathetic crisis management.
Our standard instinct with anxious people is to rush in, force positivity, or immediately offer advice. But look at Sunny's timeline. Sunny simply sits and listens. As this active listening phase stretches out, the anxiety metric steadily drops. Psychologists refer to this as holding space, the practice of being fully present with someone's emotional pain without trying to direct the outcome. Removing the immediate pressure to solve the problem is actually the only way to lower an acute anxiety spike. Once the panic subsides, Sunny avoids offering empty reassurance. Instead, Sunny leans in and validates the seed's dread by sharing personal vulnerability, quietly admitting, "I was scared many times." Sunny lists past struggles, meeting a river that stopped flowing, a giant afraid of tiny things, proving that even immense, powerful forces experience fear. By sharing these specific vulnerabilities, a mentor disarms the paralyzing fear of the unknown. It proves that fear is a normal, expected part of the growth process, rather than a disqualifying failure. This brings us to the climax of the interaction. The seed finally admits its absolute, overwhelming fear, that growing is simply too hard and it won't succeed right away. This diagram illustrates the giant tree fallacy. The seed judges day 1 against an impossible year 10 expectation. To counter this, the giant expectation fades, replaced by a manageable glowing ring. You don't have to become a giant tree today. You just need to begin. Clinically, this breaks down a massive, overwhelming identity shift into a single, manageable physical action. It removes the burden of the future, and immediately we see the physical result of this mental shift. Tiny roots stretch deep down into the rich, dark soil, and suddenly a fragile green sprout bursts upward into the light. Radically lowering immediate expectations provides the exact mechanical requirement needed to break the paralysis of anxiety and initiate forward momentum. Throughout this entire interaction, an older turtle watches quietly from nearby, representing the previous generation of mentorship. The turtle purposefully steps back and refuses to interfere. In this moment, the responsibility of the guide shifts entirely to Sunny, who has successfully applied the lessons of the past to a new life. Sunny then offers the new sprout a realistic warning. When the little plant nervously asks what happens if it gets lost, Sunny doesn't sugarcoat the future. Sunny simply says, "You will, but you'll also find yourself." This mirrors the episode's closing realization, that the light we discover within ourselves is meant to be passed on to others. Those past traumas, failures, and anxieties serve as hard-won tools, eventually used to guide the next frightened person out of the dark.